In the kitchen of our small apartment in Boston's suburbs, the morning light filtered through the window as I sipped my coffee. The warmth of the mug spread through my fingers, but inside I felt a chill, the weariness of life, the marks of years. I'm Nicole, 34, a single mom. My son Tyler, 8 years old, called from the living room. "Mom, I can't tie my tie." His red tie hung around his neck, his fingers tangled awkwardly. I smiled, set the mug down, and went to him. Kneeling, I said gently, "It's tricky, huh?" "Don't worry, I've got it." As I fixed his tie, a tightness gripped my chest. Today was Caroline's wedding. For over 10 years, I'd worked as a waitress at Maple Diner. Long hours from dawn to dusk, measly tips, grumpy customers. But I never complained. I worked for Tyler, for his school uniform, notebooks, little joys. 3 years ago, my ex-husband Michael left me and everything changed. One morning, he'd said, "This life isn't for me anymore," packed a suitcase and left for a fresh start with his secretary. He was a sales manager at a big company, climbing the ladder. I, a waitress, no longer fit his status. The day we divorced, I didn't shed a tear. I signed the papers, took 5-year-old Tyler, and moved into this tiny apartment. That was my pride. "Today's special, Tyler," I said, smoothing his tie and looking at him. "Your Aunt Caroline's wedding. We need to be extra careful." Tyler was smart, sensitive. He felt how Michael's family treated me. "Grandma Beverly and Aunt Caroline don't like you much, do they?" he said, his blue eyes searching mine. I didn't want to lie. "Adults are complicated, Tyler," I said honestly. "They're from a different world. But family ties don't change." Even as I spoke, Caroline's biting words echoed. "Just a waitress," she'd say, smirking. Caroline, Michael's younger sister, was the family's darling. A prestigious college grad, now engaged to Luca, a professor. Today, she'd have a lavish wedding at Boston's Grand Harbor View Hotel. My ex-mother-in-law, Beverly, was worse. Obsessed with class, she'd never accepted her son marrying low-status me. After the divorce, her disdain grew sharper. Even Tyler got her cold shoulder, like he was proof of her son's mistake. "Mom, will we see Dad?" Tyler asked, a hopeful note in his voice. "Maybe," I said, smiling. "But we're enough, right?" He nodded, "Yeah." That morning, I'd taken off from Maple Diner, a rare break. I didn't want to go to the wedding, but when Tyler said, "I want to see Dad," I agreed for his sake. I pulled a navy dress from my closet, simple, understated, but elegant. I avoided flashiness. I didn't want Beverly's snide looks. In the mirror, I saw tired eyes, but still a spark. I dressed Tyler in his suit, his red tie making him a little gentleman. "We look good," I said, hugging him. "No matter what, we're a family. Don't forget." He smiled. "I won't, Mom." Leaving the apartment, his small hand in mine, I felt tense. Grand Harbor View Hotel was a symbol of luxury and status, a world I didn't belong to. Beverly's chill, Caroline's mockery, I'd face them. But Tyler was with me, and that gave me strength. We got into the car, Boston streets stretching ahead as a voice whispered inside, "Hold on, Nicole." The wedding would be a test, but with Tyler, I was ready. In our Boston suburb apartment, the wedding morning air was cool, but inside me burned a mix of tension, fear, and strange resolve. I sat at the kitchen table, sipping coffee, while Tyler struggled with his suit in the living room. "Mom, are these pants too tight?" he called, tugging at the waistband. I smiled and went to him. "No, they're perfect," I said, adjusting them. His red tie hung around his neck, blue eyes gleaming. He looked like his father, but his soul was mine. "I'll see Dad today, right?" he said, hopeful. "I think so," I said, but unease stirred within. Caroline's wedding was at Grand Harbor View Hotel, one of Boston's fanciest spots. The invitation, thick paper with gold letters, felt heavy in my hand even now. Beverly had sent it as a flaunting gesture. I knew she didn't want me there, but I had to go for Tyler. I'd ironed my navy dress last night. Simple, not my maple diner uniform. In the mirror, I left my hair down, added light makeup. Not flashy, but me. I had to be ready for Beverly's barbs. "You look pretty, Mom," Tyler said, coming over to eye my dress. "Thanks, sweetie," I said, hugging him. "You're handsome too." His suit was a bit big, last year's, but it'd do. I couldn't afford new, my waitress pay covered rent and basics. Till Tyler's smile made up for every lack. "We'll dance at the wedding, right?" he asked, eyes bright. "Of course," I said, my heart warming. "Dancing with you is the best." That morning, I'd taken off from Maple Diner, a rare luxury. Usually, I'd spend hours in that small restaurant, coffee scents and frying potatoes around me. Customers barked orders, I carried plates. My feet ached, but I never stopped. For Tyler, his school supplies, soccer shoes, little joys. Since Michael left, I'd carried this life alone. But the wedding was a different test. I'd face Beverly's cold stares, Caroline's fake kindness. I picked up the invitation from the table, gold letters sliding under my fingers. Caroline Rossi and Luca Moretti, it read. Luca, a professor, perfect for Caroline. Beverly saw this marriage as a triumph, like her son escaping his waitress wife. Michael was in another life now, new wife, new status. I was a stain in their eyes. "Mom, why do you look sad?" Tyler said, taking my hand. Startled, I said, "I'm not lying. Just thinking." He smiled. "You'll be happy when you see Dad." My heart ached. His hope outweighed my burden. That day, I called a taxi. No car, and public transport wasn't wedding-friendly. I slipped on my navy dress, fixed Tyler's tie one last time. "Ready," I said at the door. "Yeah," he said, slinging his backpack over his shoulder, some toys inside in case he got bored. I locked the door, his small hand in mine, and we got in the taxi. Boston streets rolled by, a voice rising within. "This isn't your place, Nicole." But Tyler was beside me, and for him, I was going. The wedding would be a battle, but with my son, I wouldn't give up. We arrived at Grand Harbor View Hotel, its marble steps and giant chandeliers dazzling. Tyler squeezed my hand. "It's huge," he said, awed. "Yeah," I said, smiling. "But we're here too." Resolve grew inside. Beverly and Caroline could belittle me, but I was Nicole, Tyler's mom, standing tall on my own strength. We stepped out of the taxi, walking toward the entrance. This was my test, and I was ready. When our taxi pulled up to Grand Harbor View Hotel from Boston's suburbs, it was nearly 3 in the afternoon. We stepped out, Tyler's small hand warm in mine. My navy dress fluttered in the light breeze, and Tyler's red tie hung slightly crooked. He'd fiddled with it on the way. "Mom, this looks like a palace," he said, blue eyes wide at the hotel's marble steps and grand entrance. I smiled. "Yeah, it's pretty big," but a weight settled inside. This lavish world wasn't mine, it was Beverly and Caroline's. Stepping into the lobby, crystal chandeliers cast golden glints everywhere. The floor was polished marble, my heels clicked with every step. People in sleek suits and long dresses milled about, champagne flutes in hand, laughing. Tyler clutched his backpack tighter. "So many people," he said, a bit shy. "It's okay," I said, squeezing his hand. "We're together." But unease grew. I felt like an outsider, and I knew it. At the reception desk, a young woman, likely the coordinator, greeted us. "Welcome," she said, smiling, but her brows lifted as she scanned the list. "Your name?" she asked. "Nicole." "Cole Harper," I said, voice steady. Using my old last name felt odd. 3 years since the divorce, but this was Michael's family's event. She skimmed the list, paused, then signaled another staff member. I heard whispers but couldn't make them out. "One moment, please," she said, a nervous smile. Tyler looked up. "Mom, is something wrong?" "No, sweetie," I lied. "They're just checking." Waiting, I glanced around. Flower arrangements pristine, every table meticulously set. Boston Harbor's view streamed through huge windows. I thought of Maple Diner, coffee-stained apron, greasy plates. Here, no trace of that world. But I was here, for Tyler and maybe to prove something. The coordinator returned. "I'll show you your seats," she said, unease in her tone. Tyler and I followed her into a grand ballroom, floor-to-ceiling windows, long tables, everything opulent. As we neared our table, Tyler stopped. "Mom, what's this?" he said, voice shaky. I looked at the place cards. Other relatives had Rossi family or Moretti family, but mine was different. "Single Mom Waitress," it read, black ink, cold and clear. Tyler said, "Single Mom's Kid." My face drained, breath caught. My hand went to Tyler's shoulder, fingers trembling. "This must be a mistake," I said, voice weak. I turned to the coordinator. "Who did this?" I asked, anger rising. She bowed her head. "I don't know, ma'am." That's how the list came. A storm erupted inside. Rage, shame, helplessness. Beverly, this was her doing, I knew it. Caroline might have been in on it, but I hadn't expected this. "Mom, what does it say?" Tyler said, reaching for the card. I grabbed his hand. "Nothing, honey," I said, voice quaking. My eyes welled, but I didn't cry. I couldn't look weak in front of him. I glanced around. Were guests whispering, or was it my fear? "Sit, Tyler," I said, forcing a smile. "They'll fix it." But I knew they wouldn't. This was a message. Then I saw Beverly, across the room in a black dress, champagne in hand, laughing with Caroline. She didn't even glance at me. Caroline, in her white gown, glowed, everyone's eyes on her. Tyler and I, with these cards, were a joke. "Mom, why'd they write that?" Tyler said, voice fragile. I didn't know what to say. An urge rose to flee, take Tyler and leave. But his confused eyes stopped me. "I don't know," I said honestly. "But we're here and that's enough." I squeezed his hand, but my heart was shattered. Beverly's disdain had marked me a stain in this lavish scene. In the vast ballroom of Grand Harbor View Hotel, the place cards, Single Mom Waitress and Single Mom's Kid, stared back at me. My hand lingered on Tyler's shoulder, fingers still trembling. The room's noise, laughter, clinking champagne glasses, the orchestra's soft tune, buzzed in my ears, but I was in a bubble, detached. "Mom, why'd they write that?" Tyler asked again, blue eyes searching mine. I swallowed the lump in my throat. What could I say? "I don't know, sweetie," I said finally, voice cracking. "It's probably a mistake." But I was lying. It wasn't a mistake. This was Beverly's work. I knew it. Her class obsession, her disdain for me, these cards were her sharp message. Caroline might have gone along. She always craved Beverly's approval. Tyler took his card, small fingers gripping the paper. "But it's dumb," he said, brows furrowed. "You're a waitress, yeah, but that's not bad." My heart ached. His innocence magnified my shame. We sat, but the chair dug into my back like a plank. My navy dress felt so plain here. I looked around, women in long silk gowns, sparkling jewelry. Maple Diner flashed in my mind, apron stained, hands coffee-scented. There, I had purpose, serving customers, working for Tyler's needs. But here? I was a punchline, Beverly's mockery. "Mom, is something wrong?" Tyler said, taking my hand. My eyes welled, but I didn't cry. "No," I said, forcing a smile. "Just surprised." A storm raged inside, anger, shame, despair. I wanted to run, grab Tyler and escape this gilded prison, back to our Boston suburb apartment. But I couldn't. Tyler wanted to see his dad, Michael, who'd turned his back on us 3 years ago. I was here for him, but these cards had knocked me down again. I don't deserve this, I whispered to myself. I'd worked years, raised Tyler alone, stood tall, but to Beverly I was still just a waitress, a blemish. Across the room I saw Beverly again, in her black dress, chatting with Caroline. Caroline, in her bridal gown, was a princess. Everyone adored her. Luca, tall in a tux, stood beside her, perfect pair. Beverly's pride shone in her eyes. She didn't glance my way. I was invisible. "Mom, where's Dad?" Tyler said, scanning the crowd. "He'll come, I guess," I said, uncertainty in my voice. If Michael was here, had he seen these cards? Proved them? My heart tightened. My ex had left me to this family's scorn. "Tyler, let's get some water," I said, changing the subject. I stood, legs shaky. Were others at the table, Michael's cousins, aunts, staring, or was it my paranoia? I covered the cards with my palm, hiding them. "Mom, why were you hiding it?" Tyler asked, curious. I paused. "Let's not talk about it, okay?" I said, soft but firm. He nodded, but sadness lingered in his eyes. He'd noticed, I knew. 8 years old, and he could see my pain. Then a war sparked within. Beverly's move was meant to drag me down, but I wouldn't give up. Tyler was here, and I was here for him. "We're a family," I told myself, clenching my fists. My navy dress was armor, simple but mine. Beverly could belittle me, but I was Nicole, Tyler's mom, standing on my own strength. As the ballroom's noise swelled, a voice whispered, "Hold on, Nicole." And I would, for my son and for myself. In the Grand Harbor View Hotel ballroom, the wound from the place cards, single mom waitress and single mom's kids still bled. Tyler and I sat at our table, the storm inside me refusing to settle. The orchestra played a light waltz, champagne flutes floated around, but my world was frozen. Tyler took my hand. "Mom, didn't we get water?" he said, innocent. "You're right," I said, forcing a smile. "I'll get it soon." But my eyes drifted to Beverly, across the room, laughing with Caroline, her black dress catching the light. I knew she'd orchestrated those cards, her disdain made flesh. I stood, legs still trembling, but anger surged within. "Tyler, wait here," I said, voice firm. "Where are you going?" he asked, brows knit. "I need to handle something," I said, squeezing his hand before stepping away. In my navy dress, I wove through the crowd. Each step, the luxury around me made me feel more alien. Crystal chandeliers, floral arrangements, elegant people, so far from Maple Diner's world. But I wouldn't back down. I'd confront Beverly. I found her beside Caroline, chatting with guests. "Beverly," I said, voice sharp but controlled. She turned, brows rising. Her smile froze when she saw me. "Nicole," she said, surprised. "Something wrong?" Caroline glanced at me, radiant in her gown, but her eyes held a mocking glint. "Yes, there is," I said, fists clenched. "The place cards. Single mom waitress and single mom's kid. Was that your idea?" My voice didn't waver, but a volcano erupted inside. Beverly paused, then smiled, that cold, fake smile. "Nicole, you're overreacting," she said, swirling her champagne. Someone must have joked. "It's not my doing." She was lying. Her scornful eyes said it all. "A joke?" I said, voice rising. "This isn't a joke, Beverly. It's humiliating me and my son." Guests started turning, whispers audible, but I didn't care. "I've worked years, raised Tyler alone. I don't deserve this." Caroline cut in. "Nicole, please," she said, voice sweet but cutting. "Don't make a scene on my wedding day. Sit, enjoy." "Enjoy?" A laugh rose inside, but stayed silent. "You're mocking me," I said, facing Beverly. "You never accepted me." When Michael left, you acted like it was my fault. But this, I pointed to the cards, this goes too far. Beverly sighed. You're being emotional, she said, voice icy. I didn't do it. Talk to the coordinator. Her denial fueled my rage. You're lying, I said, voice low but sharp. You planned this because you've always seen me as a stain. Even Tyler, your grandson, you push him away. Beverly's face hardened. How dare you speak to me like that, she said, brows arched. With reason, I said, unflinching. I may be a waitress, but I'm human. Tyler, too. You can't label us like this. Caroline laughed, a short, mocking sound. Nicole, don't dramatize, she said. It's a wedding, not your issue. Crowd hushed, eyes on us. I felt a collapse inside, alone, a stranger in this lavish scene. Beverly stared. Sit down, Nicole, she said, commanding. Don't disturb anyone. She turned back to Caroline, dismissing me. My hands shook, but I didn't cry. I returned to our table, Tyler waiting. Mom, what happened? He asked, worried. Nothing, I lied. I checked something. But a wound had opened. Beverly's denial left me more isolated. Sitting, Tyler took my hand. Are you sad? He asked, voice soft. A little, I admitted. But I'm okay with you. He smiled, me too. His small hand gave me strength then. Beverly could belittle me, but I wouldn't give up. In my navy dress with my son, I was here, and that meant she couldn't break me. Back at our table in the Grand Harbor View Hotel ballroom after confronting Beverly, the storm inside me wouldn't calm. My navy dress felt heavy on my shoulders, like all eyes were on me, though no one really cared. Tyler waited, small hands on the table, red tie slightly askew. Mom, what did you check? He asked, blue eyes full of worry. Something, I said, forcing a smile. It's not a big deal. But I was lying, everything mattered and he felt it. Sitting, Tyler took my hand, fingers warm in my palm. Did you talk to Grandma Beverly? He said, voice small but sharp. I was startled, 8 years old, yet he saw it all. Yeah, I said honestly. About the place cards. He bowed his head, picked up the single mom's kid card, crumpling it. Why'd they write this, Mom? He said, brows knit. You work, but that's not bad. My heart ached. His innocence cut through my shame like a knife. It's not, I said, voice shaky. But some people think so. The ballroom's noise, orchestra's tune, laughter, enclosed us like a bubble, but Tyler's eyes were only on me. Grandma doesn't like you, does she? He said, voice low but firm. I didn't know what to say. Adults are complicated, I said finally, repeating the same lame answer. But Tyler shook his head. No, Mom. She always upsets you. Aunt Caroline, too. When Dad left, they blamed you. I was stunned. He'd noticed so much, it both proud and scared me. Tyler, I said, squeezing his hand. Don't think about it, okay? We're fine. But Tyler didn't let go. Grandma's cold to me, too, he said, eyes dropping to the table. She looks at me like I'm not wanted. Like I'm Dad's mistake. His words tore a wound inside. Beverly's chill reached not just me, but my son. You're not a mistake, I said, voice firm. You're everything to me. He smiled, but it was sad. I know, Mom. But seeing them makes you sad. The cards did too. He looked up. I want to protect you. Then my eyes welled, but I didn't cry. My 8-year-old wanted to shield me from Beverly's scorn, Caroline's mockery. Tyler, I said, hugging him, you already do. Just being here is enough. His small arms wrapped around my neck. I'll always love you, he said, voice soft. My heart tightened. His love was more real than anything in this lavish scene. I love you too, I said, a fire igniting within. For Tyler, I'd endure anything. The orchestra struck up a dance tune and Tyler stood. "Mom, let's dance," he said, eyes bright. "Now?" I said, surprised. "Yeah, till Dad comes. I want to make you happy." I smiled as he pulled me to the floor. We spun in small steps, his red tie swaying. His laugh drowned out the room's noise. I forgot Beverly, Caroline, the cards. "Spin faster, Mom," he said, giggling. I laughed, twirling with him. In that moment, it was just us. But dancing, Tyler's eyes flicked to Beverly, across the room, chatting with guests. "I want to tell her," he said suddenly, voice firm. "What?" I said, pausing. "That she hurt you." "She's wrong." My heart raced. "Tyler, no need," I said, alarmed. "But I want to," he said, fists clenched. "You always stay quiet, Mom." Someone should say it. I froze. His courage scared and awed me. "Wait," I said, holding his hand. "Not now." He nodded, but a fire burned in his eyes. My son wanted to fight for me. Back at the table, Tyler took the card again. "I want to rip this," he said. "Don't," I said, smiling. "Let it stay. We're better than them." He grinned. "Yeah, we are." His small hands squeezed mine. Beverly's disdain couldn't touch this love. Tyler saw me, the real me, and that was worth everything. After dancing with Tyler in the Grand Harbor View Hotel ballroom, returning to our table brought a brief peace, short-lived but real. Tyler's laughter had eased the sting of the place cards, single mom waitress and single mom's kid, for a moment. In my navy dress, I sat, Tyler settling beside me, his red tie still a bit crooked. "Mom, Dad still hasn't come," he said, eyes scanning the crowd. "Maybe he will," I said, uncertainty in my voice. I hadn't seen Michael in 3 years. Whether he'd be here was a mystery. The room's noise, orchestra's melody, guests' chatter, rolled on, but my focus drifted to Beverly. She was with Caroline, her black dress as cold and distant as ever. My confrontation hadn't changed a thing. Her denial left me more isolated. "Mom, can we get water?" Tyler said, pulling me from my thoughts. "Sure," I said, standing. Just then, a shadow fell over our table, a tall, familiar figure. I looked up and saw Michael. He wore a dark gray suit, hair slightly grayed. 3 years had aged him, but that charisma lingered. "Nicole," he said, voice soft but tense. "Michael," I said, stunned. Tyler leapt up. "Dad," he shouted, hugging him. Michael smiled, ruffling his hair. "You've grown, Tyler," he said, eyes shifting to me. "Glad to see you both." My heart raced. His presence was unexpected, and I didn't know how to feel. He gestured for me to sit. "Can we talk?" he said. Tyler stayed at the table, eyes fixed on his dad. "Sure," I said, wary. Michael pulled up a chair, sitting. His closeness felt strange. "I didn't know you'd come," he said, hands clasped on the table. "I came for Tyler," I said, voice steady. "He wanted to see you." Michael nodded, fair. "I've missed him." Then his gaze fell on the place cards. Single mom waitress. His brows furrowed. "What's this?" he said, a hint of anger. I froze, shame flooding me. "Your mom's idea," I said finally, voice low. "To label me and Tyler." Michael picked up the card, fingers gripping it tight. "This is disgusting," he said, eyes meeting mine. "You don't deserve this, Nicole." I was shocked. I hadn't expected this from the man who'd left me 3 years ago. "You're right," I said, voice trembling. "But Beverly never accepted me. Since we divorced, it's worse." Michael sighed. "I know," he said, regret in his tone. "I've always known her class obsession. She wasn't fair to you or me. But this," he slapped the card on the table, "this is too far." Tyler cut in. "Grandma made fun of Mom," he said, fists clenched. Michael looked at him. She did this? He said, anger rising. Yeah, Tyler said. I told her mom shouldn't be sad, but she didn't listen. Michael turned to me. Nicole, why'd you stay quiet? He said. What could I do? I said, helpless. I confronted her, but she denied it. Michael stood. This isn't right, he said, voice hardening. I'll handle it. Stunned, I said, what'll you do? Talk to Mom, he said, resolute. I can't let her demean you and Tyler like this. He strode through the crowd toward Beverly. I was rooted, breathless. Michael started talking to her, gesturing sharply. Beverly's face tightened, but he didn't back down. Tyler looked at me. What's Dad doing? I don't know, I said, but relief stirred. Unexpected support from Michael. When he returned, I told Mom, he said, sitting. She denied it was on purpose, but she'll apologize. You don't deserve this, Nicole. Neither does Tyler. My eyes welled. Thank you, I said, voice faint. I didn't expect this. He smiled. Neither did I, he said. But you're strong. You raised Tyler alone better than I did. Tyler hugged him. Mom's the best, he said. Michael laughed. You're right, kid. In that moment, a wound closed. Michael's support was a shield against Beverly's scorn. In the Grand Harbor View Hotel ballroom, Michael's unexpected support had eased something inside me, but the storm wasn't over. Tyler hugged his dad, red tie brushing Michael's gray suit. I sat in my navy dress, the place cards, single mom waitress and single mom's kid still before me, a silent taunt. Michael looked at me. Nicole, you don't have to stay, he said, voice soft but firm. You and Tyler can leave if you want. I paused, torn. I wanted to flee but not surrender. No, I said finally, voice steady. I came for Tyler. We'll stay. Michael nodded. Okay, he said. But I won't let Mom treat you like this. Tyler squeezed my hand. Dad's right, he said, eyes bright. You're sad, but we should be strong. I smiled. I'm always strong with you, I said, hugging him. Then the orchestra stopped. It was speech time. Beverly took the stage, microphone in hand, standing tall in her black dress. Dear guests, she said, voice filling the room. Today's a special day. My daughter Caroline unites with Luca. A great joy for our family. Guests clapped, but unease grew inside me. Beverly's eyes swept the crowd. Did they linger on me, or was it my imagination? Family is everything, she went on. We support each other always. Her words sparked a laugh inside. Support? What she'd done to me and Tyler was anything but. As her speech continued, subtle jabs emerged. Some use life's hardships as excuses, she said, smiling. But true strength comes from right choices. My heart clenched. This was about me, I knew it. My waitressing, my divorce from Michael, in Beverly's eyes, I'd failed at right choices. Guests applauded, but Tyler frowned. Mom, is she talking about you? He said, voice low. I don't know, I lied. But I did. Beverly was belittling me before the crowd again. Michael leaned forward. This is too much, he said, anger clear on his face. I'll do something. No, I said, stopping his hand. Let her talk. She can't break me. He blinked. Sure? I nodded. Sure. I'm here with Tyler, that's enough. Beverly finished. Wishing Caroline and Luca happiness, she said, stepping down amid applause. Caroline and Luca took the stage, smiling and waving. Perfect couple, Beverly's triumph. Back at our table, Tyler gripped my hand. Mom, Grandma's wrong, he said, voice firm. You don't make excuses. You take care of me. My eyes welled. Thanks, sweetie, I said, hugging him. You seeing that is everything. Then Beverly approached, face tense. Nicole, she said, voice cold but cautious. Michael said I talked to you. Yeah, I said, looking up. About the cards. She sighed. A misunderstanding, she said, eyes darting away. Not intentional. She was lying again. Beverly, I said, voice hardening, you did this. To humiliate me and Tyler. What? She paused. You're exaggerating, she said, but her tone wavered. No, I said, unflinching. I'm not. You've looked down on me for years. But I'm here with Tyler, and that means you can't break me. Tyler cut in. Mom's right, he said, fists clenched. Beverly glanced at him, brows raised, but said nothing. I don't want to ruin your fun, she said finally, walking off. Michael looked at me. You okay? Yeah, I said, resolve inside. Beverly's speech, her scorn, they'd hurt but not broken me. Tyler's love, Michael's support, they were my shield. Dancing started, but I stayed put. Tyler held my hand. Mom, we won, right? He said, smiling. Yeah, I said, hugging him. We won. Beverly's stage was done, but my story with Tyler went on. In the Grand Harbor View Hotel ballroom, after Beverly's speech, the air had shifted. I sat in my navy dress, Tyler beside me, his red tie swaying slightly. Michael was still with us, sipping champagne in his gray suit. Beverly's stage exit and laughter with Caroline and Luca had cut me, but that cut healed as long as Tyler's small hand stayed in mine. Mom, Grandma was unfair, Tyler said, voice low but firm. She blamed you, but you didn't do anything. I smiled. I know, sweetie, I said, ruffling his hair. But we're okay. The orchestra struck up a dance tune, guests flooding the floor. Caroline and Luca twirled in gown and tux, the crowd's focus. Beverly chatted with relatives, black dress as proud and distant as ever. Tyler glanced at her, brows furrowed. Mom, I want to tell her, he said suddenly, a fire in his tone. What? I said, startled. That she hurt you. She's wrong. My heart raced. Tyler, no need, I said, alarmed. We talked about this. But he shook his head. No, Mom. You stay quiet, but someone should say it. Then Tyler stood, small frame, resolute. Tyler, sit, I said, reaching for his hand, but he pulled away. No, Mom, he said, eyes locked on Beverly. I'll do it. He marched through the crowd, red tie swinging, blue eyes blazing. I froze, breath caught. Michael looked at me. What's he doing? He said, stunned. I don't know, I said, fear and pride mixing inside. My 8-year-old was going to fight for me. Tyler reached Beverly, her group falling silent. Grandma, he said, voice small but clear. Beverly looked down, brows raised. Tyler, she said, surprised. What do you want? Tyler took a deep breath. You were wrong to Mom, he said, fists clenched. You wrote single mom waitress on the cards. You hurt her. Guests whispered. Beverly's face tightened. Tyler, this isn't the place, she said, voice cold. No, he said, unflinching. You always hurt Mom. She's a waitress, yeah, but she takes care of me. You're cold to me, too. The room hushed. Even the orchestra paused. Beverly's eyes widened. How dare you speak to me like that? She said, voice trembling. With reason, Tyler said, voice rising. Mom's strong. When Dad left, she raised me. You should thank her, but you mock her. Caroline stepped in. Tyler, enough, she said, moving forward in her gown. But Tyler turned. No, Aunt Caroline. You're mean to Mom, too. She came here for me, but you humiliated her. Guests gaped, whispers growing. I leapt from the table, rushing to him. Tyler, I said, breathless, grabbing his hand. Stop, that's enough. But his eyes were wet. Mom, someone had to say it, he said, voice fragile. I love you, and I can't stand them hurting you. I looked at Beverly, her face pale, champagne glass shaking. Nicole, she said, voice weak. Stop him. No, I said, voice firm. He's right. You've belittled me for years. But Tyler sees me, how you can't. Michael stood. I told Mom, he said, facing Beverly. But Tyler's right, this went too far. Beverly fell silent, eyes darting to the crowd. Everyone watched. I didn't mean it, she said, unconvincing. Tyler squeezed my hand. Mom, don't be sad anymore, he said, hugging me. My eyes welled, but I didn't cry. I'm not, I said, holding him tight. I'm proud of you. Beverly said nothing, melting into the crowd, defeated for once. Guests stared, but I didn't care. Tyler's courage had floored Beverly's scorn. My son, small but mighty, had become my giant. We won, right? He said, smiling. Yeah, I said, a triumph within. We won. Back in our Boston suburb apartment from Grand Harbor View Hotel, night wrapped us in deep silence. Tyler and I had taken a taxi, leaving behind the marble steps, chandeliers, and Beverly's cold world. I slipped off my navy dress, hung it up. Wedding traces lingered, but they no longer defined me. Tyler lay in bed, red tie at his bedside, blue eyes half closed. Mom, today was good, right? He said, a sleepy smile. Yeah, I said, hugging him. Because of you. A few days later, brewing coffee in the kitchen, the doorbell rang. Tyler was at school. I was resting before Maple Diner. Opening the door, I saw Beverly, black coat, an odd look on her face. Nicole, she said, voice cautious. Can we talk? Stunned, I didn't flinch. Sure, I said, letting her in. We sat at the kitchen table, her hands clasped, eyes down. About the wedding, she said finally, I want to apologize. I froze, coffee mug in hand. Beverly apologizing was unimaginable. The place cards, she went on, voice shaky. My idea. But not meant to hurt, just a joke. She was lying again. Beverly, I said, voice firm, you did it on purpose. To humiliate me and Tyler. What? She looked up. You're right, she said, startlingly honest. I never accepted you. Michael's choice, not mine. But Tyler, she paused, eyes welling. When he spoke, I saw I was wrong. Relief stirred, but anger lingered. You've looked down on me for years, I said, setting the mug down. For being a waitress, raising Tyler alone. But those cards, they hurt my son too. Beverly sighed. I know, she said. Michael said a lot. But Tyler's words, they shook me. I smiled despite myself. My son's courage had pierced her armor. He loves you, she said, voice soft. And you're a good mom. I ignored that. Thanks, I said, but my tone stayed distant. But it doesn't erase everything. She nodded. I know. Let it be a start. Standing, I want to see Tyler soon, she said. I'll be better to him. At the door, she paused. Nicole, I underestimated your strength, she said, looking back. Forgive me. When she left, I sat alone, her apology an unexpected closure. That evening, I picked Tyler up from school. Did Grandma come? He asked, swinging his backpack. Yeah, I said, smiling. She apologized. His eyes widened. Really? Yeah, I said, taking his hand. Because of you. He grinned. I told her, Mom. No more hurting you. I hugged him. You're a hero, I said. Walking home, Boston's streetlights flickered. That moment, the wedding's weight lifted. A week later, at Maple Diner during my shift, I thought of Tyler's moments. Coffee scent, clattering plates. This was my life, and I wasn't ashamed. Beverly's scorn, Caroline's mockery, they couldn't wound me anymore. Michael's support, Tyler's bravery, my victories. Back home, Tyler sat on the couch, watching cartoons. Mom, will Grandma come again? He said. Maybe, I said, smiling. But it doesn't matter. We're enough. Lying in bed, peace settled, quiet deep. The wedding was a test I'd passed. Single mom waitress might have been Beverly's label, but in Tyler's eyes, I was a hero. His love rebuilt my worth. As Boston's lights streamed through the window, a voice whispered, "You're enough, Nicole." And this time, I truly believed it. My life with Tyler went on, and that was the sweetest closure.